Hello everyone, welcome to chapter 4. As you guys saw that in the previous chapter, Roth found out that Myth the Valkyrie was his bride. Now, I don't know why, but every time that I think of Valkyrie, I just keep thinking of Wonder Woman. I think Wonder Woman was a Valkyrie, right? I don't know. Just leave a comment to, just emphasize on that. So, moving on. Chapter 4. Present day. Never-ending sexual desire that could never be slacked. She knowingly, delightedly, surrounded him to this torment. His bride had blooded him, giving him his first need as a vampire, then stopped it in a fever pinch, and only his bride could work his body free to release for the first time. If she had only stayed long enough for him to take her just once, or to merely touch her skin as he'd taken his own ease, she could have spared him this, but then she'd clearly said that was the plan. And for the last 5 years, Roth had been cursed with more than that. He was cursed with her memories as well. Okay, so this is 5 years later. The minuscule drop of blood taken directly from her body did more than make any other blood taste like tar to him. It did just what the forebearers feared. With her living blood came dreams with her memories unfold. Surrealistic that they were as if he were experiencing the scents she'd smelled and textures she'd felt. Sometimes he could even feel her hands clenching in anger, but he told no one, keeping his secret because he didn't want to lose his power within the army as general, or worse, be killed. Each sunset, he rose and checked his eyes for the telltale red, and every day, if he could manage to sleep, he was subjected to the same series of memories that subtly grew in detail each time. The first found her atop a hill, with the sun bright, but snow still on the ground. "I've cursed you all to hell," Miss hissed, at the sight of the rough gravestone. She was roiling with so much hostility that Roth knew she must have killed whatever had been laying there. She spoke an ancient language that Roth shouldn't have understood, but he did. He felt the sensation she'd felt, the constant sway of the chain around her waist, the smell of the ocean just below her, brine on a cold day. Another familiar dream, a drunken Roman senator kneeling at her feet. "At long last, I'm about to have missed the coveted, and you'll no longer be coveted, you'll be missed the possessed. Ha 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 ha," he laughed. "You'll make me twist in your little hook no longer." Roth had discovered that the full name of the tormentor, his tormentor, missed the coveted. With disgust, Roth saw the Roman take Miss Daintyfoot in his mouth, sucking greedily, stroking himself, as she slowly lifted her skirt up her silken thighs for him. As ever, Roth fought not to see this, fought to wake. His violent revulsion never diminished over time. The first time he'd taken that dream, he'd been relieved when another scene unfolded before that one came to some kind of sick conclusion, but never again. Miss was running past a Viking raiding party on the coast of some northern land. Purposely, she wanted them to hurt her, to catch her and throw her to the ground in the hard snow. What kind of twisted need did she have? She was excited, her blood pumping. Her skin felt like it was sizzling with electricity, and lightning was generated from her excitement. She stifled a smile. When the bellows and cheers, the men gave cease. As ever, Roth fought to force his mind away before he saw a dozen Vikings rotting on his bride, to her delight. You. Tonight, a new dream, finally. Snow outside again, packed so high it covered half the window. Women or other creatures like her met around a great hearth. They were sisters, and Roth saw their faces as though familiar and knew their names and who they were as well as Miss did. He recognized the archer, the one he saw in the dungeon, as Lucia, and the bright one he knew was now Regan the Radiant. A vacant-eyed one was called Nyx, the oldest of her sisters and believed to be a soothsayer. Their clothing indicated early 20th century. They were meeting over the fate of a young baby that their leader, a somber creature named Anika, wished to keep. Miss frowned at the little girl in Anika's arms, confused to feel some strange emotion stirring for it. How are we to care for her, Anika? Lucia murmured. Regan snapped. How can you bring a vampire among us when they slaughtered my people? One named Daniela, the Ice Maiden, knelt beside Anika, gazing up at her, briefly, touching with a pale hand. Miss shivered to think that Daniela would go through so much pain to offer a cold touch. Daniela's mother's people had been the Ice Fae, and she'd known that she could not be touched by anyone but one of their own kind, or else they would feel extreme pain. She needs to be with her own kind. I know this well. Anika shook her head determinedly. Her ears, her eyes. She's as much Valkyrie as much as a vampire. Valkyrie? Impossible. She'll grow to be evil, Regan insisted. She's already snapped at me with her baby fangs. By Freya, she'll drink our blood. Trifling, Miss interjected in a casual tone. Regan, we eat electricity? The vacant-eyed Nyx laughed. A vampire child? Eating electricity? Sorry about that, guys. As you can see that my camera unhooked, so we'll just go again. So, Roth's heart was racing in his sleep. In the dream, Anika said, I will keep Emmeline from the Horde and guide her to be all that's good and honorable about the Valkyrie before time endured us. Her words were laced with sadness and tragedy, a memory that Mist hated. Roth wanted to see it, but he couldn't. Anika rubbed noses with the baby and asked her, Now where's the best place to hide the most beautiful little vampire in the world? Nyx laughed delightedly, as usual. Les bon temps roulés? The others looked at each other, and they all thought, New Orleans. Roth shut up in bed, body drenched with sweat. My bride's a Valkyrie? He thought, with a choking cough. His mind couldn't wrap around the idea of it. He hadn't known they existed. A character from legends, told around campfires, was linked to him for all eternity. From the dreams, he knew she was millennials old, mystical being born of fierce Pictish princess, who's plunged a dagger into her heart rather than to be taken alive by an enemy, and she was of gods. She didn't eat because she took electricity for energy from the earth and gave it back with her own emotion in the form of lightning. She was a killer and had been a Roman senator's whore. She despised men and enjoyed tormenting them, just as she had done with him. He glanced down at his throbbing erection. Even his hatred couldn't battle his restlessness need for her. The impulse to take himself with his fist was there, but he fought it, knowing he could never bring himself to come, knowing it would only increase his pain. For the first 5 years, she'd sentenced him to suffering from this constant grueling ache. Before he'd learn there was no relief without her, he would have futilely stroked himself or thrust against the bed, imagining that it was myth clenched beneath him. But he never took release. Other females repelled him because they just simply weren't her. Even if he believed he could find ease with another woman, he would never be damned himself with another. He'd felt his mist's incredible softness, felt her wet with desire only for him, her body squeezing around his fingers as she'd climaxed at his touch. She shuddered and his cock pulsed hungrily, linked for an eternity, to Mist the Coveted, a mythological being who despised him. The only way he'd kept her for an eternity would be to punish her for that long. He knew he coveted her as none other had, and now he knew where to find her. And he was off to New Orleans. So that's it, chapter 5. Very short and spicy. Tomorrow we'll go into, that was chapter 4, sorry. Yeah. So tomorrow we'll go into chapter 5 and see what happens when he meets her in New Orleans, if he finds her. Ta-ta.